And that's a certain approximation in the mathematics. And it turns out, in that approximation, all the the theories of physics work. I mean, what physicists do, you know, they bang particles into each other, collisions. It's called scattering. The Large Hadron Collider now, the $6 billion, $7 billion machine in CERN, but basically it's accelerating particles at very high energy and bouncing it against the target. Okay, and for those kinds, there's no life there, and it's dead stuff. Okay, and for those kinds of experiments, quantum mechanics works. Okay, but it's missing something. Okay, it doesn't work for living. I mean, I'll give you my theory. It doesn't work for living systems. It's like Henri Bergson's Elan Vital. You know, and it's called signal non-locality. And technically, you know, it's a mathematical thing. You can formulate it, and what it is, the way to picture it, it's just like Newton's third law, action and reaction. When you have a direct reaction of the material back on the mental field, that excites qualia, that excites consciousness. Because look, I mean, what happens? We have our sensory stuff, right? We have light, signals, sound, everything coming in. We have these sensory transducers on nerves, and goes down to what we call microtubules, and then there was these called dimers, these like electrons and little computer switches. You've got to read Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff. You know, they have this picture. We're like nanocomputers. We are computers on a nanometer scale, billionth of a meter scale. Okay, we're machines. We're actually, and I mean, molecular biology is all machinery. I mean, we have, you know, it's basically machinery, but it's at the level where quantum mechanics, quantum physics begin to play a role. In fact, we just found out that there's what's called quantum entanglement is actually playing a role in the stability of DNA molecules and the RNA and that whole, you know, whole genetic code thing involves quantum mechanics.
And the DNA is quantum.
What?
The DNA is.
Well, I mean, there are classical parts and there are also quantum, but the quantum mechanical parts are people are beginning to realize that it's more, you know, that's essential. You have to have these quantum mechanical
But
effects.
how can there be no reaction?
Well, the point is, but here's the thing. What happens is, because it turns out that the hidden variables are what are called, they're in thermal equilibrium. And in thermal equilibrium, maximum entropy, that's when that approximation works. But we are not thermal equilibrium. We are, you know, we are what are called open dissipative structures. You know, we're consuming energy all the time, the metabolism, and so we are being held far from thermodynamic equilibrium. And when that happens, and you need something else called macro quantum coherence. I mean, there's too many concepts to get the shortcut. I've got to finish it now. But there are these other conditions, what are called non-equilibrium conditions, where this action-reaction signal non-locality thing should work, and that's us. That's us. Because, in other words, when it's no longer uncontrollable random, in other words, information patterns, coherent patterns, sensory patterns, those are the motions of the material particles, but those motions being coherently imprinted back on the mind field and changing it in a coherent way, and it's that change, I mean, it's like you know, it's like a voltage difference. I mean, you know, it's that change that's our consciousness. That's what's happening right now. That's what we are. I mean, in any case, there's a picture. It's kind of qualitative picture, semi-quantitative picture.
How about one more question from somebody?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I have one question. You started out by talking about how one of the reasons we miss the dark matter is because we are so limited by light. That is, we depend on light.
Yeah, well, that's the only way we can see it.
But given that dark matter is expanding as it is...
Well, wait, no. The dark matter is actually clumping. It's attractive. So dark matter, like the galactic halo, is a stable ball. It's a dark energy that's repulsive.
The dark energy.
Yeah.
But the point is one of the points you were making is that light has a maximum speed.
Yes.
Does dark energy have a maximum speed?
Well, I don't even know what that means. So I don't know operational.
Can it exceed the speed of light?
No, I don't think. No. Because what we have, like the globular, what do you call it? The galactic halo. The galactic halo is a stable kind of sphere of this stuff. And actually, I can tell you what it is. What it is in quantum field theory. See, in quantum field theory, we have two kinds of particles. We have what are called virtual particles, which are inside the vacuum state, and we have real particles, which are excited states. So you can show pretty easily, and this is my theory, that what are called virtual electron-positron pairs, virtual quark-antiquark pairs. They will all act as dark matter. They will cause, through Einstein's theory of gravity, what's called the equivalence principle, and just what are called quantum statistics. Standard, pretty simple physics, actually, textbook physics. You can show that these virtual particles inside the vacuum that are spin 1/2, what are fermions, they obey Fermi-Dirac statistics, those will act exactly as dark matter. They're going to generate attractive gravity. Okay, and then the dark energy, like light itself, virtual photons, what we call virtual bosons, spin 1 particles, they have the opposite effect. They create the anti-gravity. So it's actually pretty simple, and it's not. It's all everything's quantum field theory, and quantum field theory is based on causality. That classically nothing goes faster than the speed of light. That doesn't mean that we can't make spaceships that go faster than light, because that's a whole other thing. It's called warp drive. And in a warp drive, you have like this bubble, and what's happening, see, all that matters, the speed of light limitation is when you have something that is like a particle that's moving through space, through a fixed space-time. Space-time is like rigid, like what's called Minkowski space-time. But when the space-time is non-rigid, and when there's gravitational fields, gravity is curvature, it's like a curving of space-time, and that's dynamic. It's a dynamic field, just like an electromagnetic field. And you can control the curvature. If you can control the curvature, you can, the way the warp drive works, like when Star Trek Enterprise goes into warp, what's happening is that this dark energy, space is expanding at the stern of the starship. Space, so it's surfing. It's just like a surfer on a wave. The space is expanding. The ship itself isn't moving locally. It's just like it's sitting there. It's, there's no G-flow. It's like you're floating in space. See? And so the space behind the ship is expanding, and the space in front of the ship is contracting. Okay, and because of that, there's no violation of relativity, because locally everything looks like special relativity. But from a global point of view, guys far away outside, it looks like the thing actually has gone. It could go, from one end of the universe to the other, maybe a billion light years in a couple of minutes of shipboard time. And you don't even have to worry about time dilation, it turns out. You can literally go outside faster than light, but it's a very tricky effect. It's hard to explain, but that's standard physics. I mean, people are working on that. But the thing is now, how do we actually do it? Can we do it? See, and that's the trick. And that's where the whole UFOs, the flying saucer stuff comes in. That's a whole other kettle of fish.